Today I attempted not one, but two recipes from Tara Duggan's From Root to Stock Cooking Cookbook. I made the romaine leaf soup with leeks and peas, and the pan-roasted cauliflower steaks with tomatoes and capers. I enlisted the help of my lovely assistant and best friend, Carly, for this cooking extravaganza. We started our journey in my town's local Stop and Shop to get all the ingredients we needed. Carly and I had never even heard of half the vegetables in the recipes, like fennel bulbs or kombu, which we found out was a type of seaweed. We must have looked very desperate because we started receiving help from pretty much everyone in the produce section. After we finished our shopping trip, we went back to my house to get our hands dirty. We started with the recipe we thought would be the easiest. Carly and I had never made a soup stock before and were not ready for what was about to happen. After chopping, dicing, seasoning, and pureeing about 7 different vegetables, we were finally ready to boil the ingredients for 15 minutes, like the recipe said. When we checked on the soup, it definitely wasn't ready after 15 minutes, so we decided to give it another 15 and get started on the next recipe. Cauliflower steaks with tomatoes and capers. Now, I actually hate capers, so Carly and I decided it would be best to leave those out. While chopping the cauliflower steaks, I cut pretty deeply into my right index finger. After a few wads of paper towels and strips of tape, Carly and I agreed that she should stick to the cutting from now on. The recipe called for a cast iron pan, which gave the cauliflower some really nice grill marks. The only issue, some of the tomatoes and garlic got stuck in the grooves of the pan. I was really skeptical of using the cauliflower greens in the recipe, but I was determined to execute this the way Tara did, minus the capers, and I added them in. While Carly chopped the tomatoes and finished grilling the cauliflower, I decided to check on our soup, which still wasn't flavorful after a half an hour of simmering. I decided to give it another full half hour. Eventually, it took about an hour and a half for the broth to taste anything besides vegetable water. Then Carly and I made the mistake of not reading the recipe and thought that we were supposed to puree all the vegetables, including the leeks and peas that were to be added into the soup after it had simmered. We were supposed to strain the vegetables that had created the stock and then just add the leeks and peas, which to me left a huge waste of mushy vegetables, so I'm kind of glad we didn't do that. Carly and I also accidentally forgot to take the bay leaves out of the stock before we pureed it, but Tara Duggan said that if a farmer grows it, it's edible, so we figured Tara would know better than us. She was right, and Carly and I are still alive. Once we added the peas, however, the whole soup just tasted like pea soup, so there was no point to the 7 or so vegetables that I had to buy. But hey, my mom liked the soup, so that's all that mattered. I'm not a big vegetable person, but my mom is a vegan, so her opinion on my vegetable cooking skills is important to me. And she liked both the soup, which she placed in 3 separate Tupperware containers and gave some to our neighbors. And she liked the cauliflower steaks, although she did say that she would do without the cauliflower leaves. I agree.